there is something really different about the mindset of Black men compared to other men. It's like you guys don't think like other races of men. Hey, I can't believe you're still on the live, but I just wanted to verify the question that you're asking. I think I kind of get the gist of it, but I just want to make sure I'm answering the right question.
What do you mean question? It's disagreement day.
Yeah, so you said that you feel that Black people should not only date within our own race because some white people will have our best interests more than we would. Is that right?
No, my response was with Dr. Umar and saying as far as you can't be pro-Black, given the fact that there are Black women who won't be married. 1 in 4 Black women won't be married. I was saying that's not really an argument. Because when you look into the data as far as why those women aren't married, well, then it explains why they aren't married. The other one was, what else did he say? I can't remember the rest of the video. But the wealth.
He's taken for granted.
Yeah, he was talking about the wealth. As far as you giving wealth to a non-Black spouse, whatnot. But that doesn't mean anything because we've had Black families for quite some time, and it hasn't benefited the group. So this wealth that the Black families have had hasn't been put back into the community.
Yeah, so I think there's like 2 major flaws to what he's saying. Number one, he's taking for granted that Black women will continue to marry within the Black race or only seek partners that are Black men, and that's changing. And I do think that part of our issue as Black Americans is that Black women are socialized to be very insular, and so that creates this situation where you have a lot of hypergamy, like reverse hypergamy, where like Black men are marrying up, Black women are marrying down. A lot of times you have a lot of like polyamorous relationships where Black men aren't as faithful because they have so many options. And I think if more competition, if there was more interracial marriage, that could essentially, like Dr. Ralph Banks said, create more stable families within the Black community. So I think Dr. Umar Johnson, he leaves that part out. And so I think that's one major flaw. But the other part, I tend to agree a little bit with what Pastor Manning says. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's kind of controversial. Like he hated Obama long before Obama was even elected because he saw major flaws in Obama's politics.
No, but I wouldn't agree with what you said, though. I don't think it's a competition thing. I think it has to do with women making poor decisions. Because a good majority, if not half,
part of it too. Yeah.
have children. So by having children, that you're less likely to marry.
So I think again, so it's multifaceted. You can blame it on Black women having children. I can tell you as someone who has married and dated interracially that in other cultures, men do get women pregnant outside of wedlock, but they have shotgun weddings, basically. So once they find out that their woman is pregnant, they don't seek to shame her or abandon her. They try to marry her to spare her that. But that's just not something that's done in the Black community. So I can tell you,
well, spare her. That's not a benefit, right? Because if he's not in a position to be a father, or the mindset to be a father, then it doesn't matter if he marries her. Now you just have a trash marriage. So you're not. So in fact, you're actually shaming her in the long run.
Again, so it's so hard to my frustration and okay. So Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she broke down that anytime you have Black men and Black women trying to get to the nitty gritty of like the situation in the Black community, it's always going to result in squabbling. And that's what's so like exhausting about these conversations is they get so circular and it just like descends into squabbling. You can say, yeah, so she shouldn't have gotten pregnant. She shouldn't have chosen a man that XYZ. She should. There's always this endless blame on the woman. And I can easily say, like if men would just like man up, if they would play their position, like
Men do man up. That's the thing. The problem is that she chose a man who doesn't man up.
I know, and that's what's unfortunate. And I think this is the root of the problem, is that I do feel, and it pains me to say this, I'm not proud to say this, but there is something really different about the mindset of Black men compared to other men. It's like you guys don't think like other races of men. So you want to blame and continue to put all of the accountability on the laps of women, whereas other men don't operate like that. And until
every group operates like that. White people operate like that. Asian people operate like that. You're gonna have to. Do you have any data to support this? Because I'm unaware of any data, any analysis, any study where white men are promoting single parenthoods from white women. I'm unaware of that.
No one's promoting it. But the crux of the matter is, no race of men should not hold the men in their group accountable. If men are at large abandoning their women who they impregnate, that is an issue with the men. Yes,
I agree,
the women,
but
yes,
the problem with that, those men are always going to exist. That's always a factor there, right?
And therein lies another problem.
There's always going to be those trash men present, no matter what good men say.
But listen, other races of men don't take that for granted. They don't do that.
I don't know what you mean. They might
acknowledge, yes, there's trash men, but they give them consequences. They make sure that those men don't run amok in their community. The Black community does not do that.
What do you?
They let them run
amok. I have no idea what you're
talking
about.
And then they blame it on the women.
Do you have any example of this? Because I've been in Jewish communities, I've been in white communities, I've been in Hispanic communities. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, because you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry.
No, I'm asking you.
I can't really
I'm asking you to
elucidate
me, because I have no idea what you're referencing. How do they stop them from doing that? What by what means?
The cultural ethos in those communities. They do not allow.
That means nothing. So by what means?
Okay, exactly.
Right, the culture, hold on. Because the cultural ethos has to manifest itself in actions, right?
Absolutely.
So how do they manifest this cultural ethos to thwart or to stop these bad men from not being bad men?
So again, with fathers in the home, right? With fathers protecting their daughters and disciplining their sons, you don't see the manifestation of, single parent homes everywhere and abuse and unemployment and all that type of stuff.
Hold on. So now you're talking on both sides of your mouth, right? Because we acknowledge that both bad men exist in all groups. But then you said that there's
not necessarily.
Wait, you're telling me that there's a group of people where bad men don't exist?
No, what I'm saying is the degree to which, so you're taking for granted that, like, the Black community, we have bad men. I'm saying, yes, every group has bad men, but the Black community is special in that Black men are allowed to run amok. There's an abundance
They're not allowed to run amok. The only way they're allowed to...
Are you for real?
Yes, I am for real. They're not allowed to run amok, right? As opposed to any other group, they're not allowed to run amok.
This is disingenuous now. This is not a real.
You're gonna have to give me
now.
something, right? Because what you just acknowledged, that there's bad people in every group, right? Then you said Black men, as far as run amok in the Black community, but that doesn't happen in every other group. And then when I asked, well, how does that happen? Well, there's a cultural ethos. Okay, well, how does that cultural ethos manifest itself? Well, it manifests itself because there's fathers in the homes that tell their daughters not to do that. That doesn't account, right, for the bad men still doing bad things within the group. So obviously there's going to be women who get with those bad men who don't take care of their children, which is a good amount within the white community, within the Asian community. Well, not so much the Asian because they don't really reproduce as is, but within the Hispanic community. So those are still present. So I don't know what you're referring to, because if you're referring to a certain systems or certain actions that they're doing, well, then we can replicate those actions and we can promote those actions. But you're not giving me anything.
Okay, so I feel like you're perhaps being disingenuous, but I'll go through it again. I think it's very dishonest to say that there's not an abundance of bad men in the Black community that are running
There's
amok.
not.
So there's tons of data and statistics that substantiate that.
Give me
you can
one.
look at, and of course you're going to dismiss so the Black femicide rate, or the criminality period.
What about the criminality? If you're going to give me a data, give me something.
According to data from a 2015 Violence Policy Center study, over 90% of Black female homicide victims were killed by Black males. However, of the Black male offenders, over 56% had prior criminal records. A 2011 study published in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence, analyzing over 450 Black female homicides, found over 36% of the Black male offenders had prior arrests for violent crimes. Another 20% had been arrested for nonviolent crimes. Additionally, research on intimate partner homicides provides further details. A study published in the Journal of Family Violence examining cases in North Carolina found the median income for Black female decedents was $15,000, and for Black male offenders, it was $20,000, both well below the national average. With regards to education, a 2021 study by the Blackburn Center in West Virginia indicated over half of Black female homicide victims aged 18, 30 had a high school diploma or less. Similarly, a 1989 study titled Exploring the Effect of Resource Availability and the Likelihood of Female-Perpetrated Homicides, analyzing over 300 Black female cases, found 56% of the offenders had a high school education or less, 13% had some college, and only 4% were college graduates. In summary, while not reflective of the majority of Black women and men, these statistics suggest a pattern in which poor and less educated Black women are victims of homicide perpetrated by poor, less educated Black men with prior criminal histories.
I mean, the FBI statistics.
What about the FBI statistics? Do you know how the FBI statistics come about?
Go ahead.
Do you know how can you explain to me how the FBI statistics come about? How do they get those statistics?
Okay, so now we're going on a tangent about how stats are collected.
Yes, because that's important.
Nail down
as far
something so we can progress.
Wait, hold on. Let me explain to you why that's important. This is why we won't have a female president, because you guys are aloof, right? Many of you, not all, but most of you are aloof. The reason why that's important, because we have to take into account whether the data is actually a reflection of what's happening, whether the data has been tainted.
So why is it now that the data needs to be, come in question when
it always needs to come in question? That's the whole entire point. It always needs to come in question.
Black women who are doing XYZ, we need to take that at face value. It's like you guys, it's almost like you're allergic.
No. I'm talking about the FBI statistics, because there's a certain percentage.
Can we
hold on. But hold on.
Can we just move forward?
No, we can't move forward because there seems to be an impingement in comprehension here. The reason why we have to look as far as, I'm letting you know that there is, due to your own words. Your own words betray you. So what I'm trying to do is educate you to some degree. Now, seemingly as a Black woman, right, you seem to be hesitant to be submissive to a Black man who's trying to educate you. So you seem to be of that lot. Unfortunately.
I'm listening.
Okay,
so
great.
now here comes the ad hominem.
Great.
Can you please
has nothing to do with that hominem. This is how you're presenting yourself. I can only go off of how you're presenting yourself. This is how you're presenting yourself, because I'm trying to educate you on why what you're saying is ignorant.
Okay, can we move forward now?
No, we can't move forward because I'm trying to educate you on why we're ignorant. You're more than welcome to hang up. Would you like to hang up? Would you like to disconnect? If not, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I need you to listen so that you can stop promoting ignorance.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Great. So when it comes to the FBI statistics, as opposed to other studies and analyses, we can look into how they did their methodology when it comes to the study. When it comes to the FBI statistics, that's not the same thing. Because we have to look into why the FBI statistics even exist and how they come to be, which is coming from voluntary data from police departments. And then the police departments don't even give you the full scope of the data that they give the FBI statistics. Then if you take into account the FBI statistics, then you have to take into account the nitty-gritty, the details. The devil is in the details, which most people don't take into account. That's night and day from a separate study done on Black women due to, polling or a census.
Okay, so we got to get to the nitty gritty. We got to know the background of who's taking the stats. We got to know where they live. We got to know their social.
Yes, because the reason being, why do you think that's important?
We can see the criminality.
Hold on. Why do you think that's important, though?
We can see the local news reports.
I understand.
Everywhere.
I get you.
Like, why are we acting oblivious to this? There is an issue with crime in the Black community.
But why do you think?
Can we please acknowledge that and just move forward?
No, we can't. Because why do you think that's important to know
and
how that crime came to
problem.
be? Why do you think that's important?
Why crime is in the Black community?
No, I'm asking you, why do you think it's important as far as how the data is accumulated and aggregated, and as far as the context of that data and where they get it from? Why do you think that's important?
Listen, whether or not the people who collect the data are racist or they have some type of propaganda. I'm not talking about the people who collect the data. I'm asking you, why is it important to contextualize the data that you receive? At this juncture in our
this is why men lead, and many of you women should follow, because you cannot critically think. Don't worry, I'm here. I'm going to explain it to you. The reason why it's important, I need you to be quiet and listen now, because you already show that you don't know the answer, which is fine, because I do. So I'm going to tell it to you.
No, I'm just not willing to go down this rabbit hole.
I understand you don't want to go down this rabbit hole because you're ignorant in this rabbit hole. This is where I stand strong.
Here comes
okay?
ad hominem.
So I'm going to need you. It's not an ad hominem. It's an analysis off of your words. So I'm going to need you to be quiet and listen yet again. So the reason why it's important is because so we can create solutions, right? That's the reason why it's important to gather this data. Unfortunately, this data has been weaponized to bludgeon Black men in the Black community in order to put our nose in the poop. However, it's not our poop. This is their poop that they put us in. Now, they don't want to address that. They don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to create policies, systems, or any type of ordinances that can remove that poop, but they constantly want to highlight the poop that they created.
Okay.
So the point is to create solutions
I think I got it.
that doesn't happen. This criminality that you believe is so heavily present.
Okay, Lucas, if I can just ask you a question. So the poop that, isn't our fault or isn't Black men's fault, it's other communities' fault, and they just want to, put your nose in it. Is that why the guy punched that lady in the middle of Chicago, right? So
I don't
it was
know
someone
what
else's
guy,
fault. It wasn't
what
his
lady
fault.
you're referring to. If you're talking about an anecdotal story, well, I would need to know the context.
No, I'm talking about a story that literally happened a couple weeks ago.
So that's called an anecdotal story, right?
Okay, regardless.
No, it's not regardless, because this is how critical thinking works. You're a simpleton, and I understand that. So as a simpleton, I'm betting that you're probably, I hope for your sake, that you're extremely attractive, because that little thing between your ears isn't working, okay? It's smooth. You're not a thinker, and that's fine.
Ad hominem. It's
not an ad hominem, right? You don't even know what an ad hominem is.
All I'm trying to do, Lucas,
Let me explain to you what an ad hominem is. Let me explain to you what an ad hominem is, right?
Lucas,
an ad hominem. Hold on.
Okay,
because
it's another
you're using
rabbit
this word
hole.
incorrectly.
Now we deviate yet again.
No, we're not deviating.
Go ahead.
We're addressing this
Educate
word
me on
that
what
you
an ad
constantly
hominem is.
frequently
I'm trying to progress the argument, okay? Can we just for a second
present
take
an
for
argument
granted
because
that
you don't know how an argument is constructed based off the arguments that you presented thus far.
Listen, if I can just give a little bit of...
Bye-bye. Take care. I don't have time for your foolishness. An ad hominem is an attack on the person to undermine their argument. You haven't presented an argument. That's the point. I'm just merely attacking you for being you. I'm not using it as a means to attack your argument, because your arguments can be obliterated in and of themselves. So you're misusing the word ad hominem every 5 fucking seconds, which is beyond blisteringly painful to me to hear. This is why some of you aren't married. This is why Dr. Umar Johnson is fucking wrong. Some of you women don't deserve to be married. Some of you women don't know how to deal with a man, especially a good man. That's why you are without a fucking ring. That's why nobody wants you. That's why you are considered leftovers. Because unfortunately, for whatever circumstances that have placed you in this, sometimes not even due to your own decisions, but albeit you are in these circumstances, which preclude you from finding a good man. Sure as fuck, not a good Black man, because no Black man is gonna deal with that nonsense. Just constantly talking about, oh, there's a criminality and statistics, and, well, the other groups don't do that. What fucking white boy? You know what? You're absolutely correct. There are white boys that'll do that. Black women, for all of you clowns out there that are Black women, because the good ones, y'all don't have to worry about this because you're already in a relationship, got a ring on it, or you got something in the pipeline. But for the rest of y'all, if you got a few babies, go get you a white boy. You're absolutely correct. These white boys are fucking allowing their wives to get fucked by black men. They don't have a problem being cucked. They don't have a problem taking care of babies that aren't fucking theirs. So absolutely, if you're a part of that group, go find you a white boy, because there is definitely a fucking plenty of them that are cucks and don't mind being cucks. Matter of fact, they enjoy it for some reason. They'll put it on fucking YouTube. They'll put it on Twitter. They enjoy it. So you're absolutely correct. Those groups of people, they will handle their situation a little bit differently. So you got a point right there. You do have a point. I'm sorry, I was wrong in that regard. You do have a point.